Alright, as you can see here, I've opened up a Logic project. I got a couple tracks in here, and I want to basically be talking about EQ. The EQ settings are on every channel, so if you just click on the channel, you'll see an EQ setting. Sometimes it might be hidden if you have the audio channel, MIDI channel, etc., etc. Just push the click on the arrow, it'll show the EQ. The other nice thing about Logic is a lot of these EQs for tracks and loops and everything have been set up by the professional recording engineers at Logic. So if you want to see what they did to get, this pop rock guitar sound, if you click on the EQ, notice that it's already been set. So you can look at the EQ and see what they did to get the sound that they get. And this is a great way to start to study EQ settings. You'll know that a track has an EQ if there's an EQ marking in the EQ slot. So if I click on my track that I have, there's no EQ. Click on the next one, EQ's been set up. EQ's been set up for a funk piano. So you can click on that and see what the EQ has been set up for the funk piano. So let's go back, to my track, and we're going to talk about the EQ controls. The nice thing about this, when you double click on it, the channel EQ will pop up. And let's talk about some of the controls here. First one, we have the master gain control. This is if you make any adjustments to any of the EQs, you can either push them up, push them down. So if you see that, go up and go down. Anytime you want to reset it, option click, it'll reset it. The next thing I want to talk about is the analyzer. So if I play my track, you don't see anything happening. Now if I turn the analyzer on, notice my dB settings here. 0 is the center line. If I turn my analyzer on, the dB settings now change on the right hand, and 0 is my top line. And this is basically giving you a visual of what's happening with the track as far as EQ. You also have down here post and pre-EQ. So if you want to listen to a pre-EQ, click on it. Post EQ, click on it. Down below you have the resolution. This is great if you really want to hone in on a specific frequency and see what it's doing. Understand that your greater your resolution setting, so if you go to high, it's going to take up a lot more CPU. But you'll be able to get a little clearer picture of what's happening. So I clicked it on high, and notice that I can see now that I have a real good peak or node happening right here before 100 at about, 90, 80 hertz. So we'll talk more about that. Right now I'm going to set it back to low resolution. There'll be less latency. Also, you'll have a lot more latency if you set it for high resolution, depending on how much memory you have in the computer. Okay, let's talk about these controls over here. First control that you click on is called a low frequency roll-off. Okay, this control, if you notice, there's bookend controls, low frequency and high frequency. It's used to roll off lows and highs. You can't boost, you can only take away. So if you click down here, your frequency, this will allow you to adjust your frequency range of your roll-off. You can also grab this red node here and move it out like that. Okay. The other thing you could do is your gain or your slope. You can make it either a gentle slope, or if I click on this, actually I'll stop my music now. You could change the slope to 48 dB or 6 dB. That's the range. And notice how the slope gets more harsh the more I go down. Your Q is bandwidth, which we talked about earlier. As far as octaves and everything else, you could change your bandwidth. And this is one of the few ones that you can actually take a bandwidth above or below. Now if I want to reset this, all I do is hold down my option key, click right here, boom, I reset. Okay, the second one is a low frequency shelving. And you notice that that's already been highlighted. So if I click on it, just click off this to hide. And basically the difference between a low frequency shelving and a low frequency roll-off is with shelving you can boost or cut frequencies. So if I were I highlighted that. Okay, what's happening here? So now I'm going to boost my dB, and there's my shelving. And you can see that now I'm actually boosting a series of frequencies, and I can change the gain and slope down to cut frequencies. I can also adjust my Q, and I can also adjust the frequency range that I want to work in as far as making it larger or smaller. So those are the difference between the two. With the low frequency shelving, you actually can boost or cut, and with the low frequency roll off, you can only cut. So let's go option cross that. Now, the next four down here are true parametric EQs. And basically what a parametric is a search and destroy or search and fix. You can get very detailed with the parametric EQ. So if I'm looking for a gain or slope, I can actually change my Q to be very thin, and I can actually move this around by grabbing the node and finding whatever frequency I want to gain or cut. Parametric EQs are great if you have a problem frequency that you know exactly where it is. You can cut it right out. It's called, basically surgery. So that's pretty much. In the next one, we have 4 of those in a row. So you can, get pretty detailed about what you want to do. Then you have a high frequency roll off for number 8. And just remember that anytime you want to, reset something, option click is always good. So in this way, you can actually set up a pretty, I'm at a loss for words here, but you can set up a pretty good EQ for each of your tracks just by using this channel EQ. So next, I'd like you to just experiment with different frequencies and rolling, cutting, and everything else.